All right, he's back. Fresh off paternity leave. VP of Product, Attack Interactive. Stephen Thiel is here today. Stephen, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So while you're away, you slacked me or texted me. It was sometime in the middle of the night when you were up with the baby, and you said, when I get back, I want to talk Breeze AI. I've been following along on Inbound. I want to talk Breeze AI. So here we are. The floor is yours. Tell us, Stephen, what is Breeze AI and why should we care?
Yeah, so obviously, HubSpot's been trying to get deeper and deeper into AI, and their biggest inbound release was the launch of Breeze AI, which is which they're pitching as their complete AI solution for marketing, sales, and service teams. But it essentially kind of breaks down into like 3 different products that are included in Breeze AI: Breeze Copilot, Breeze Agents, and then Breeze Intelligence. So kind of we can quickly break those down. Breeze Copilot is kind of like your personal AI assistant that follows you around your HubSpot instance now. Whether you're in Marketing Hub, Content Hub, Sales Hub, Service Hub, it's there to just use generative AI and the data that's already in your CRM to kind of execute tasks quickly. For example, you're heading into a sales call, you want a summary of a contact or a company or a deal. Maybe you've had multiple interactions, they visited a few pages on the site, they've submitted a couple form requests, your past notes. So HubSpot will, with a quick prompt, and it'll auto-generate all this background on this contact, company, deal for you, just to kind of give you a little bit more info heading into that call. And then it'll follow you around, like Content Hub. Maybe you're trying to write a blog, you need a little bit of help. It'll follow you around there and have some prompts to either get the outline going or do a kind of rough draft of it. Cool tool. Game changer, probably not. I think Breeze Agents and Breeze Intelligence is where a lot of the real value is with this new AI product. The cool thing about Breeze Agents is it's almost like an AI-powered expert that's broken down into like a few different areas. For example, there's a content agent, a social media agent, a prospecting agent, a customer agent. So say you're on a sales team, you can very easily use the prospecting agent to write some personalized, like tailored sequence emails to easily fire off to a prospect. If you have a lot of visitors who are coming to your site for more of a support function, either on like the main page or on a knowledge base, you can use the customer agent to essentially train the customer agent on your website and on your existing blogs, knowledge bases, and whatnot, and it'll quickly respond to site visitors. On the content side, you can even use it for creating like landing pages, podcast ideas. So a lot of value in Breeze Agents and being able to just automate work across the business as a whole. And then we have Breeze Intelligence, which to me is probably the most exciting part of Breeze AI, and what I've been looking forward to since HubSpot acquired Clearbit, say 6 months or so ago. So they've, Clearbit as a company doesn't exist anymore. It was Clearbit by HubSpot. Now it's fully incorporated into the HubSpot product as Breeze Intelligence. And kind of has 3 main features. One is just being able to enrich contact and company records. So if you're missing, key decision makers there, email addresses, phone numbers, addresses, whatever data that was in that Clearbit database has now been brought over, and you can enrich all that without having to leave HubSpot. It has buyer intent data, so you can use it to discover a company that are in your target market, and if they're showing intent on your website. And this is a pretty cool one. This is something HubSpot hasn't done in the past, is using intent-based data for form shortening. So say it's a contact that's been on the website, could have been a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they come back. HubSpot will kind of recognize that and will build up an optimized form, and behind the scenes like autofill information for that prospect. Just say you're asking 10 form fields, it picks up, it already has 5-6 data points in your CRM. It's going to automatically eliminate those from the forms and autofill it, and just show the ones that they have to fill in, which would, in theory, will help with boosting conversion rate.
Okay, all right, that was a lot. There's a lot of to digest there. So one of the things I think that we always see with AI is there's this like divide of what's cool versus what's impactful, right? Like there's a lot of really cool things that you can do. we did a video a couple months ago on the Content Hub, and we looked at some of the AI in there, which was orange skinned ChatGPT. And so you've kind of noted where some things are cool. And again, we also should just note, like, I tell my son this all the time, like the first time you do something's the worst time you do something. So they're going to get in the game and they're going to make it better. Like I wholeheartedly believe that. But to me, what it sounds like is the best value coming out of this is Breeze Intelligence, which takes essentially, they bought Clearbit because, they were tired of integrating with Apollo, integrating with ZoomInfo. It made a lot more sense for them to have their own tool. And so now they're bringing that to you in your instance. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah. So HubSpot had already been using Clearbit data for years. It was what they were using, what they called HubSpot Insights. That was on the contact and company record already. So they'd already been using it. So the acquisition there made perfect sense. But now having all that kind of in-house will eliminate the need for some to be using an integration like an Apollo or ZoomInfo.
So like when you would look at a company record and they would tell you all this background information, they were getting that from Clearbit. And that's why every company was inflated in their value a little bit. But it's good when you're looking at your company, but it also, you put everything in perspective, right? So let's talk to, we work a lot with sales leaders. All right. So if I'm a sales leader, I'm like, okay, so I get it. We've got this new tool. Like, am I now able to replace ZoomInfo? And then if so, what do I do with all of the contacts I've been working with there? How do I transition? How do I go into Breeze? What's the pros and cons? Like, why would I do it? Why not?
Yeah. I mean, it's the biggest pro is having it all in-house versus having to have that external integration where you were having to maintain two different systems and, perform your searches in ZoomInfo, build your list, pull that information over into HubSpot, typically at a pretty substantial cost on the ZoomInfo side of things. So obviously having all of that in-house, being able to do that within one platform, albeit you're still going to pay for Breeze Intelligence, you're still going to pay for the credits. But having all that in-house, not having the integration, more real-time data points. I think the biggest value probably with Breeze Intelligence, slightly less on maybe the data enrichment side. That's probably a wash at what you're getting out of ZoomInfo right now anyway. But bringing some of that, the buyer intent data directly into HubSpot and having some of the form shortening capability is pretty cool. That said, obviously if you're using ZoomInfo already, you're typically on a contract there, you've got your credits, you're going to continue to use that out, bring that data in and compare the value against Breeze Intelligence. But the biggest feature is definitely having all that in-house and having more control over that data and not having to rely on integrations and workflows and whatnot to get all of that into your HubSpot.
Okay. So there's a couple different factors that we always talk about when we, look at, the ZoomInfos, the Apollos, and the number one thing is accuracy, right? Like we've used others in the past. We don't need to throw anybody under the bus. They're all trying their best, but some of these are better and more up to date than others. I know it's new, but is that going to continue to be the biggest challenge for Breeze? Is making sure that their data is as accurate as the other two monoliths in the space. That's how they're going to compete. One, please confirm what I'm saying. And then two, let's talk about competing on price.
Yeah, accuracy is always going to be the biggest one. And we've tested, so many of these in the past, that accuracy can be pretty wildly different depending on the platform that you're using. Breeze is, of course, built on what Clearbit already had, but now it's on HubSpot to continue to maintain that data and bring in updated data points. They tell you they have more than 200 million, contact and company profiles, and that they're taking a combination of, public data from third-party vendors across the internet. I think what you're going to see more and more, whether it's, ZoomInfo, whether it's Breeze, whether it's Seamless, whether it's Apollo, is, of course, they're going to continue to rely on AI as much as they can to scrape websites, scrape LinkedIn, scrape any databases that they can, validate that information and pull it into their own database. So that's always going to be the biggest race, is going to be the most, who has the most updated information, and are they using, first party data, third party data, how many data sources are they compiling? But that's definitely going to continue to be the biggest difference, I'd say, between these platforms, because they're all starting to do the same thing. And now it's really just who has the most accurate, up to date information that your sales team can actually rely on.
And then, it comes down to the price, right? Mm-hmm. We've had people we talk to is like, ZoomInfo, man, that's expensive. And I'm like, well, it's 10 times more expensive because it's 10 times more accurate. So how is Breeze going to fit in, competitively? I assume it's going to be less than, where's it going to sit in between, let's say, Apollo and ZoomInfo?
I'd say from what I've seen so far, it probably sits somewhere in the middle there. It's a very similar aspect where they're charging you based on credits. Depending on your subscription with HubSpot, you're going to get some credits. You can at least test it out a little bit before you actually commit to buying more credits from them. But I'd say it's probably going to sit somewhere in the middle. It works very similar process. You get charged a credit anytime a record is enriched, whether you're doing that, manually enriching, or you're doing it through a workflow or through a list and doing more of a bulk enrichment. They don't charge you if you're re-enriching anything. So say, you buy 1,000 credits, and during that term, you enrich a contact or company once, maybe that contact moves on to the company. Breeze isn't charging you, or HubSpot's not charging you to re-enrich that contact, which is nice. But I'd say, it's going to sit kind of in between. I'd say like Apollo Seamless versus ZoomInfo in terms of pricing.
Awesome. Well, hey, here it is. Future's here. AI is in HubSpot even more. Some tools are better than others. We're pretty excited about Breeze Intelligence. We're mostly excited to have you back. Thanks so much for joining me today, Steven. This was a blast.
Thanks. Appreciate it.